We're back, people, and today we're going to film on Kader Kohou, Miami Dolphins cornerback. Probably the player I've made the most videos of on this channel. I'm a huge fan of Kader Kohou. This is my guy. And he only played outside corner in this game. I think the first time in his career he played strictly on the outside, no nickel at all. And he is usually that nickel corner for this team. They bumped Bethel to the inside, benched Apple. So it was pretty interesting to see. He played pretty well. I think he's still a better fit in the nickel, but it's nice to see that he can go out there, show off that versatility, and still make plays, be impactful overall. Just another pretty solid game. Definitely one of the more consistent players on the team, in my opinion. Here, he's playing a tight 1/3 at the bottom, basically just matched up on the backside of a 3x1 versus the ex-receiver, Cortland Sutton. And the Broncos have a lot of good vertical threats, and when you're, a smaller DB outside, a lot of times they struggle on that vertical plane. He does a good job here, just reading this route concept, opening up his hips at a good time with active feet, maintaining that inside leverage and positioning, hand fighting down the field, staying inside that hip, and then turning, just reading the receiver's body language, leverage, working back away on the back shoulder throw down the field, and he just does a good job feeling that, playing through the receiver, fighting through the hands, forces him to bobble it and then get out of bounds. That's just a good play, good feel at the catch point. A lot of guys struggle down the field here. He sees him turn away, and he's fighting through, getting pushed off here. Helps break that up, and it becomes incomplete. Just good overall play by Kader Kohou. I love his game. Still, I think, if this team gets back Jalen Ramsey, I feel like they become dangerous because Ramsey can play the slot and outside, and I think they'll like to, if Kohou can play like this on the outside, I think they feel very comfortable because they want to get Ramsey maybe more involved on a snap-to-snap basis, have him be more involved in the running game, so then they can rotate inside-outside, just depending on the matchups per team. It's going to be a pretty fun thing to see when he comes back, him and Holland working together too. Really excited to see that down the line. Versus the run, versus the screens, he gets to be a little less impactful on the outside, but even when the things come to him and he's got to, finish these tackles, he did a good job in this game. It's a little, less involved. When you're that nickel, you're down closer to the line of scrimmage, you're part of the run fits in certain situations. You're just closer usually in alignment because you're an underneath zone defender, so you can read the screens, get downhill, things like that. Here they run jet sweep to his side. He does a good job reading it, staying patient. He always is staying square, active footwork, and you see his transitions downhill. There's no wasted movement at all. Takes a good angle. He's burst, and then he starts to slow down, glide, break down, square this guy up, take a good angle, and then tackle, finish through, limit that to a 3-yard gain. And that was the play right before the other one I just showed, the big pass deflection down the field. So he really, had a good first drive right away on the outside, and it was nice to see that they had that comfortability in him because not a lot of corners at his size can play a whole game outside like that. Another rep here for Kohou on a vertical plane, cover 3 on the outside, does a good job squeezing this to the sideline, just staying in the hip pocket. He's just not allowing separation down the field. Elliott comes over and helps. Very good job from him as well. Elliott played a good game. You can see he's playing outside leverage. He's just playing a tight 1/3 here, reading the number 1, and once number 1 pushes up vertically like this or breaks to the outside, he's just going to stay to this. You can see they're in cover 3, but since number 2 over here, he's matching this number 2. He's not playing down in the flat, so he's got to, match number 1 here. He's able to, sit on this, but then open up his hips, flip it around. Very good hip fluidity, change of direction skills, squeeze, and then I love the poise down the field. A lot of times guys panic, get a little too grabby. That's where a lot of pass interferences happen, but he's shown a good job being calm under those pressure situations, not getting overly physical, and then him and Elliott are there to make a play at the catch point. It was the only situation where Kohou gave up a bigger catch down the field. He gave up a few catches in this one, but tough situation to be in. It's a Cortland Sutton big dig. They had to, make a crazy catch to even convert it. But he's basically man-to-man versus this guy. They're bringing pressure underneath, and he has all this room to work with. He has help to the inside. That's why he's playing this outside leverage sitting on it. And he does it, once he opens up his hips and he breaks to the inside, it just creates that natural situation. He doesn't do a bad job, matching it. He's just there a tiny bit late. Ball's thrown pretty nicely to keep it away from him. If it's thrown more towards the chest, he has a chance to at least get there and possibly make a play to dislodge the ball. But, sometimes a perfect throw and catch just is what beats you as a corner. And even though you give up a big catch like this, 20 yards or whatever it was, doesn't mean, you had a bad... Because, corners are going to get beat in this NFL, especially when you're playing man match man down the field, things like that, and you have all that space to work with, those things are going to happen. So it's just one of the toughest positions to play in the NFL, but he does a great job just playing overall pretty consistently and matching versus a lot of good NFL wide receivers. Here we got Kohou at the bottom, backside of 3x1 again. He was playing right corner, I think, the entire game. Like, he just stayed to this side. So they were trying to get Sutton isolated on him, and it was a pretty solid battle back and forth. But when I feel like Kohou did a good job for the most part. They end up throwing it down to the flat to the opposite side of the field. But I just love his technique overall. He inches back here, staying square. He wants to, maintain enough of his cushion and wait for this wide receiver to commit. He has like that 2-yard cushion as he hits that right jab right there, and he starts to open up, uses his hand, but not enough contact there to where he's going to get like illegal contact on the field. It's just enough to, maintain that battle, maybe disrupt the route timing enough, but also maintain his good positioning. He sees the receivers playing back shoulder, so he turns into him as well. Just overall good technique, instincts. He just seems to end up in a pretty good position a lot of the times in these routes for the majority of the game. So big fan of Kader Kohou and what he's bringing to this team. Good play here from Kohou down in the red zone, playing as a third guy again, and he finds the number 3 working to the corner in his zone, playing more of like a true zone here. Like a lot of times they play like zone match, but they motion down the number 1. He works across the field, so Judy becomes the new number 1. He kind of reads through 2-1 here. Judy sits down with this defender. He sees 82 leaking out late, and he's ready to squeeze this. He squeezes down just in case this guy breaks toward the middle, so he doesn't give up all this space, but he works outside towards him, so he just maintains that leverage, flips his hips open, and if that was where they wanted to go with the ball, he basically shut that down the whole play. Good work from Kohou down in the red zone, just playing good, smart football. Really enjoyed watching Kohou on the vertical plane. I feel like that's where you would be most worried about this type of player, but we've seen 3 reps now where he matched the speed vertically, showing off some good speed, because I feel like he's more of a quick twitch type of athlete, and sometimes when he was down in the slot, like you could see like maybe he could get beat vertically over the top, but that's a little more protected down the slot. You have more to worry about side to side, so it's better to be a quick twitch guy than a full speed guy. But Kohou did a good job. They're running quarters to the bottom of the screen here, and he just matches this receiver working vertically, matches him step for step, stays on that outside hip, low outside leverage with the help from this safety working over the top, and he goes up, makes a play. They both, I think, hit the ball at the catch point. Him and Elliott again becoming a nice little duo in this game, at least, making plays at the catch point. They both had at least like 3 pass deflections combined, possibly more. And I think Kohou gets, the one for this, playing great through the hands, violent to rip down, which is just exactly what you want up here. Timed this beautifully. He tracked it in, attacked it at its highest point. The ball hits the receiver in the hands, and he just violently swipes it down to get that incompletion. Very, very good play from him against a good receiver in Jerry Jeudy. Last play that I'm going to break down. Nothing too crazy here, just him over here to this side of the field. They get the crosser working underneath, and he ends up getting the fumble recovery. This is more of a Javon Holland play, but nice to see him get over there and at least, show some instinctive plays. He was the corner to the opposite side of the field, so still pretty nice, from going from this numbers to almost basically the opposite sideline to get the fumble recovery, at least to be in position, ready to make this play on the ball. I don't, usually put too much stock in the fumble recovery type thing. It's more of the forced fumbles that, are the really exciting part. But just wanted to show it just to show off, another thing that he did on his stat line. Kohou was making plays all throughout. Definitely am pretty encouraged from this game how I feel about his ability to play on the outside overall, because he did a little bit last year. Last year it was pretty even playing inside and outside. I know when I made a video earlier on before the season started, people thought he had no ability to play on the outside. I was like, no, he can play on the outside, be pretty solid. I just think he could be a star as a nickel, and this game makes me feel pretty confident like that they might stick him there for a while now until they get some more players back, or until they feel a little more comfortable with getting Cam Smith going. I think, once they feel comfortable, either Ramsey getting him back, maybe Needham comes back from his injuries, he can also play down in the slot where he's more comfortable. If Cam Smith as well, maybe they feel better with Eli Apple later on too, but right now I think that's where they're going to see Kohou, unless they find a matchup where they're like, okay, we want him to match up versus their slot receiver. You could see Kohou sticking on the outside for a little. Make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.